Hi and welcome to this week's Fried AI with me, Billy McLaughlin, where I cut through the fuss and get to the facts on all the news in AI and what it means for accountants, bookkeepers and finance professionals. This week we've seen Mark Zuckerberg on the prowl for new talent. He's been reportedly offering ex-employees of OpenAI and Google DeepMind remuneration packages of up to $100 million. But they're not the only big figures we will be talking about today. Other huge corporations, including Amazon, have also made headlines with their CEO Andy Jassy making claims that their new AI agents are going to reduce the number of corporate jobs needed, and that's because of the way they will repurpose the jobs that are actually being done. That being said, he did say we will need fewer people doing some of the jobs that are being done today and more people doing other types of jobs. So just again, switching that mindset and thinking about the repurpose of jobs and what is going to happen with the inception of AI. Here in the UK, the BBC are reportedly suing Perplexity for ripping off their content to train their models. And also we have seen the government's AI advisor, Matt Clifford, step down. You may remember back in January, Matt Clifford made 50 recommendations to the UK government, all of which were going to be taken into account. I did a video on this and what it meant for our industry back then, and it will be interesting to see if that adoption now slows down because of Matt Clifford's pause to his career. He has said it's for family reasons, so let's hope all is okay there. There has been loads in the world of finance though, don't worry about that. So I'm going to start with a report that has been done by Karbon, and sometimes I find these white label reports can be a little bit meh. However, I find this one really interesting, so I'm going to cover a few of the highlight statistics, and hopefully for those of you that are at the beginning of your journey, might give you that little kick up the bum to get moving. So Karbon's new State of AI in Accountancy report, which I always think the word state makes things sound like they're a bit of a mess, but the State of AI in Accountancy report is something that they also did last year, which means they've got some really great comparative figures. So for example, number one, there has been a 6% drop in a concern that professionals have around that concern of data security, meaning that they're trusting AI models that little bit more. There's also been an 8% drop in the concern of it ruining or declining human relationships that we see with our clients. And over a quarter of the people surveyed did say that they can see the gap widening between those firms that are really on board with AI and the more traditional firms that are not. Kind of inevitable, really. So let me draw down on a few of these stats that I thought were really encouraging. So first of all, it states that when a firm invests in AI training, employees save 22% more time than those that don't. And that's a difference of 40 hours annually per employee. So if we put this into context, if you have over 50 employees and 40 hours is a working week, you're essentially saving the salary of a full-time equivalent. But don't worry, if you're not using it yet, they did come up with 3 of the top ways that people are using it, which may inspire you to do the same. So, in at number 3 was using artificial intelligence for research. This doesn't have to be tax, it doesn't have to be anything particularly complex that you're using large language models for. This could be simple as researching through meeting transcripts. Yes, I know, I am a fan of meeting transcripts. The second most popular way is automation, which they saw a rise of 4% from the last year's report. And in at number 1 is 64% of firms are claiming to be using artificial intelligence for communication purposes. So for example, composing an email with a specific tone before they send it out to their clients. The report is free to download, so I'll pop a link in the comments. Go check it out and let me know your thoughts. Moving on to some big news from some really big names in the industry. And I've been doing quite a lot of research on this ahead of my session on Thursday at the AI Summit. This is a sold out event and it is going to be one hell of a day. Just a few days ago, KPMG announced their new workbench is what they're calling it. Now, I don't feel like this got a very futuristic title. However, when you read into what it's going to do, it is very futuristic. They are launching 50 agents across their network, but that's not the impressive figure. They have 1,000 more in development. This is going to help their team speed up work, answer questions, solve problems, and will be deployed across their entire network of tax, audit, and business services. And I feel like it's almost like they've given their entire workforce these little sidekicks, which I just think is awesome. This is built using Microsoft Tech, and it has made KPMG the first business organization with BSI/ISO 42001, which is a certification specifically for AI management systems. This basically means that the system they're using is highly trusted, and I think this is something we're going to see more of in the future. We're going to have to get these accreditations to show that we're using trusted models. So kudos to KPMG. In other big name news, we've seen RSM commit to invest $1 billion. I will spare you the impression, but obviously there was only one meme for that amount, so thank you, Tom Herbert. So RSM have invested to the investment of $1 billion over the next 3 years, which follows on from BDO's investment of a similar amount over the next 5 years. They've said the funds are going to go towards integrating AI into their current workflows and also helping clients adopt artificial intelligence as well. And there'll be some money set aside specifically for training, which is obviously essential. Okay, I know this money might just feel like monopoly money, but let's break it down to you and your practice. If you're running a firm, how is this relative to your figures? So in 2021, RSM reported a turnover of around 10 billion. They're now doing this investment of 1 billion, which is obviously 10% of their turnover. So if you put that into context in your practice, how close can you get to that 10% investment and what could you do with that? That might seem a little bit too much of a high figure, but it gives you something to think about. And as I said, just brings it a bit more relatable to you in your practice from these big, huge figures that the larger firms can obviously meet. And finally, I want to talk about the bookkeeping powerhouse that is Briefcase. And I love that I feel as though Ruben and the team are taking us on this journey with them. So every time there's a product release, every time they do something new, every time they achieve a milestone, we're seeing that in real time and kind of growing with them and their products. Their latest update is on their categorization agent. And it's essentially a traffic light system in terms of the accuracy of that categorization. The reason why this is so impressive is because it can draw down data from, say, 0 from 12 months ago. Bearing in mind, you weren't using Briefcase 12 months ago, it didn't exist. You can pull down that data and it can read the classifications of the transactions and know that when it's doing some categorization this time, it can give you a traffic light of strong, moderate, or weak and give you a reason as to why it thinks that. This basically means that supply rules in their world are kind of obsolete because the product is learning from you and tailoring to exactly how you would do the bookkeeping for that specific client. And I can't help but think that's probably the way we're going to go because that is real generative AI. That is really AI that is learning from us, that is going to improve our life, and we're going to see an incremental increase in that productivity as opposed to this instantaneous win that so many people seek out. So that's all from me today. Go enjoy the heat wave. I hope you enjoyed this week's Friday Eye. As always, please let me know if you come across anything, if you found it useful, and enjoy your weekend. I'll see you next week.